Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. What is up? It is Denise. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. It is Friday, April 8th, and we got 3 hours of wrestling content to go ahead and jam-pack into one nice podcast episode. Before we get started on tonight's show, I want to give you guys here the power. Do you want me to kick off today's show talking about SmackDown? We did have a lot of news coming off of that show. Or do you want me to kick off the show talking about Rampage? Let me know. Go ahead and throw your opinion here in the chat. And whatever I see the most of, I'm going to go ahead and do. And as you guys do that, I just want to quickly welcome you all to the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It has literally been non-stop every single day. I have not had a moment's rest. It's been podcast after podcast after podcast. Today I edited and shot 9 videos, and I might do another one after this. And I already did a podcast in the morning, and this is my second podcast of the day. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see what we got here. All right, a bunch of people want to talk about Rampage first by a landslide. So we'll go ahead and jump right into Rampage, and then from there we will go ahead and hop into SmackDown. Thankfully, there's lots to talk about on both shows, so we'll kind of go ahead and get that going. So here we go, everybody. Also, if you are here for the very first time, if this is your first time here, this is a very interactive show. So at any point, feel free to send in your thoughts, and I will be pulling comments out. On top of that, if you want to make sure that your comment or question or statement gets read on the stream, 100% guaranteed you can go ahead and send in a super chat. Not only do super chats get your comments read on here, but they also help me out, as F4W Online allows me to keep all percentages of all super chats here today after YouTube takes their cut, of course. But let's go ahead and hop right into today's show, guys. So here we go. Let's kick things off with the opening match, which was Trent Beretta versus Bryan Danielson. So here's the thing I want to talk about for a hot second with this match is personally, I was very excited about this match because I feel like Trent Beretta, ever since he came back to AEW, and he's sort of been doing his thing. He's been killing it. He's been each match that he has done has been a real standout. So he has definitely been killing it. We already know Bryan Danielson is killing it. We don't even need to talk about that. We don't even need to cover that. But that's the reason I was personally excited about this match. I wanted to see how Trent Beretta was going to go in there and mix it up with Bryan Danielson. This was not my favorite match of the night. It was the match that I was most looking forward to, but it ended up not being my match of the night just because the main event was so good. But regardless, my favorite thing about this match between Trent Beretta and Bryan Danielson was that it was really straightforward. But even though it was a straightforward match with the outcome that you predicted, we got a lot of good stuff during this match. And the best part of this was really the back and forth action between Bryan and Trent Beretta. We were getting lots of, back and forth strikes between the two of them. We were seeing Trent hit elbow strikes. We were seeing Bryan Danielson hit the leg strikes, all of that. A killer lariat from Trent Beretta, which I absolutely loved. On top of that, we see the strikes for the win. We see Bryan Danielson locking the label lock and then not letting it go after the match. So again, it was a very straightforward match. It was what you expected from Bryan Danielson, but I think it also kind of just, showed Trent Beretta in the things that he can do. So I like this. It was a good and solid opener, especially for Rampage. We got our first super chat of the day, and this is from Chris Reigns, who says, Trent has been putting out bangers since he came back. He really has. And he's one of those guys too, where, the focus is not necessarily on Trent Beretta. Like he's not like, I wouldn't consider him like a, one of the guys that I feel like AEW is putting a lot of focus on, like your Wheeler Yutas, your Daniel Garcias, he's not necessarily on that side of things, but he's sort of that person that you're like rooting for because he does a good job, right? But he's not like a focal point per se. So he's kind of somebody that I think comes at you, surprise, here I am, I'm going to do a good job, that sort of thing. We got a super chat from Leonard Aarons III who says, the last week of wrestling from AEW has been beyond words. Having AEW's weekly catalog on New Japan World is huge. We're in a great time as fans of pro wrestling. Yuta Moxley was stellar tonight. I cannot wait to talk about that match. The last couple of days in wrestling have been absolutely insane. All right, let's just leave it at that. It's been insane. Let's get into this next part. We got the Hook interview, and they kind of had promoted this as Hook was actually going to speak. So I was under the assumption that we were actually going to hear from Hook. I don't know if I heard this either on Dynamite or on one of the commercials, or if I heard it on the actual show, but somewhere I recall somebody saying that we were actually going to hear Hook actually speak. So I was looking forward to that. I'm thinking, okay, like we're going to get something from Hook. Let's see what goes down here. So I will say this. I think this portion was promoted differently than what we actually got. Like I wasn't disappointed with what we got, but it felt like it was promoted differently. Like I was expecting something else. But either way, we have Lexi Nair backstage, and she's, asking Hook questions and whatnot. And Hook is just eating potato chips, man. He's like, chips before chicks, man. I wanted to tweet that, but I didn't because I knew people wouldn't get the jokes. I was like, oh man, can't tweet that. I'll save it for the post show. Anyways, hashtag chips before chicks. No one's going to agree with that hashtag, by the way. All the dudes here are like, nah, Denise, I'd rather have the chicks over the chips. I don't blame you. All right. Let's go ahead and move on from, okay, so he's there. He's eating his chips. He's no selling the interviewer. He's not answering any of the questions, and he decides to bounce. All right, cool. But before he walks out the door, surprise, he's cursed by Danhausen. But this is not the first time that Danhausen has tried to curse Hook. He's tried to curse Hook before. It didn't work, and it's confusing Danhausen. He does not understand how Hook is not being able to be cursed, essentially. And then he kind of I think he shoved the chips on his chest or was going to throw them away or something like that. And Danhausen ends up getting the chips, and I believe they were barbecue Lays, if I remember correctly, which, blech, barbecue Lays by themselves, sorry, bud. We need a dip. We need sour cream or something, because even though I like barbecue Lays, I don't like to have them by themselves. I either need sour cream or some really good tapatio, but just by themselves, I got to be extra hungry. But anyways, so he gets the barbecue Lays, and he starts eating them inside a trash bin. Danhausen is in a trash bin eating potato chips. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. So anyways, Hook walks out, and we get, again, that nice little interaction between him and Danhausen. And surprisingly, I don't know. I want it. You know what? Here we go. Let me just fantasy. Let me do a fantasy thing right now. I kind of want to see Hook and Danhausen become best friends in a way. Those odd pairings, those odd couples, the prom queen finally becomes besties or finally sees eye to eye with the weirdo social outcast. That's exactly what I want. I want Hook and Danhausen to develop this weird friendship between them. That's all I want. We got a super chat from Lake who says, I need to be on Hook's all chip diet. Let me tell you something, Lake. I am on that chip diet, and it ain't working, man. It ain't working. If you come to my house and you see how many potato chips I have in this house, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I love potato chips. So Hook's on to something. Darth Steven C77 sends in a super chat saying, thank you for the content. Have you slept yet? No, I have not slept yet. It's been yesterday. I had a little bit of rest, and I ended up watching 2020. I watched the interview with the Turpin sisters. So that was really good. But anyways, no, I have not slept. We had a super chat from Ben Condo who says, I'm just here to say pencils are better than pens. Oh, hell no. Ben, we're going to have to throw down here. I cannot agree with this statement whatsoever. Pens are better than pencils, okay? The only time they are not better is when you're doing math. But other than that, it is always pens. Thank you, Ben, for the lovely super chat and controversial super chat at that. We got another super chat from Chris Rains who says, you give me Hookhausen. Hey, guys, I am totally here for the Hookhausen. Roberto Corchado says Hook's chips are giving him powers. Yeah, that was something that Danhausen had mentioned. He mentioned something along the lines of like, is he getting the powers from here? You know, something like that. But Hookhausen, guys, come on. We got to do it. We got to get Hookhausen here. Sal P says, have you ever heard of the 5-second rule, Denise? Those chips are eatable. I'm not saying they're not eatable. I'm just saying I wouldn't eat chips while I'm in a trash bin. But I also would not be in trash bin per se. Thank you, Sal, for making me laugh there. All right, let's go ahead and continue on here with this, guys. After this, I'm curious to see how you guys felt about this next segment. This was Scorpio Sky, Dan Lambert, Ethan Page, Ty Conti, and Sammy Guevara. And basically what we got here is this like battle. I almost feel like they're doing a like, I don't know how to explain it. So Dan Lambert's been that guy, like the guy that he's been that guy that says stuff that you shouldn't be saying, and obviously he's getting like massive heat for it, and it's working, right? Like Dan Lambert comes in and talks shit about everything, and it's absolutely working. He's getting a ton of heat from it. There are people who legitimately do not like Dan Lambert because he has gotten so good at his job and the promos that he cuts. Before I finish that, we did get a super chat from Christopher Marino, who says, I want a Hook Danhausen tag team where Hook for weeks never tags in Danhausen. Then when he does, the crowd will go nuts. I love it. See, now we got to get them as a team. Anyway, so back to this here. So we know that Dan Lambert is, a controversial type of character, okay? He's the guy that says all the sexist remarks and, all of this stuff that, nobody likes, right? Nobody likes it. Everybody has their reasons to dislike Dan. I was going to say Danhausen. Dan Lambert. So anyways, then we got Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara, who are the new it couple here on AEW. They're, being their thing. This was a little bit funky. This is basically Ty Conti and Sammy coming out and saying that, Dan Lambert is a sexist and this and that. And then Paige takes the microphone and starts saying he doesn't want his daughter to be like Ty Conti. And so you get this back and forth. This almost feels like, I don't know, this almost feels like an old generation, which is weird because Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are not old, but whatever. We're going to have to bunch them into this group. Sorry, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. You're not that old, but you know what? It's part of it. But it kind of feels like this is the old generation people versus the younger people that are, with different thoughts and opinions. That's exactly what this feels like to me. But with all that being said, I don't care for it. I don't care for this. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the Dan, and maybe I'm being worked. You know what? I'm being worked. The Dan Lambert character, I don't know why. I just don't care for this storyline. I feel like it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, so I get what they're trying to do. It's an edgy thing. It's a topic that is, talked so much on social media. So I feel like it's something that I think they feel might generate some buzz. But for me, this almost feels like exactly when you had Dan Lambert and Brandy Rhodes going at it, and it just kind of left a nasty taste in your mouth. This is kind of what that felt like. But I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna, not base it off of this one thing. So I'm going to give it a chance. But as of right now, this is not for me. But let's see what you guys are saying. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this for you? Is this not for you? What am I not seeing that you are? Let's go ahead and get some thoughts. Brandon says it's Jerry Springer. I haven't watched Jerry Springer in years. We got Anakin San who says they should drop this angle quick. Julio Morales says it's Dan Lambert being a black hole and not being able to push a feud. It seems like a lot of the stuff surrounding, Dan Lambert and American Top Team and all of that kind of tends to be, at least for me, some of my least favorite portions of the show, unfortunately. That's just kind of how I feel about that here. This is from YT, who says, I like the storyline. The Ty Sammy heat came from the vlogs a couple months ago. See, but that's the thing. It does kind of feel like they're sort of touching a little bit on that, the whole Ty Sammy situation and, all of that thing that they went through on social media and, the romantic stuff and all of that, it kind of seems like that was the underlining, like it was kind of, they didn't bring it up outright, but they kind of alluded to it, like Dan Lambert and Sky and Paige. They kind of alluded to it. So now it feels like it's going to, be part of this storyline. I don't know for sure, but that was kind of the that's what I got from it. Like, it was very obvious that they were touching on that subject, and that was a very personal subject. I don't even want to talk about that. But anyways, it was there. Josh says, Ethan Page is coming across as a good guy. Sammy and Ty are awful. For the first time ever, I'm cheering for Ethan Page. And that's not the way that it should be. It's not the way that should be, right? Like, that's not the storyline here. Ed Pump says, this is the worst part of Rampage. I watched the opener and turned off to the main event when Lambert came out. Let's see what else we got here, guys, and see if we... See, here we go. Like, we got people basically not liking a lot of this segment here. Sam Fine says Sammy and Tay, the natural heels, but they're not supposed to be the heels, though. But they are coming across as heelish, and both sides are coming across as heelish, right? But they're not supposed to be, though. They're not supposed to be heels, but they're coming across that way. So I know if they start going in that direction where it's like, if they start bringing up some of the personal stuff, I don't see how they could look. I don't see how they could be seen as baby faces, depending on how they, frame all of that. I don't know, man. I love Ty Conti. I love Sammy Guevara. I'm a fan of everybody in this, but it's just not sticking. It's not sticking, but we'll see. It kind of feels like we're like, the whole thing was dropped with Brandy Rhodes because she's out the door. And now it's like, okay, well, let's move on to somebody else. And this is where we're moving on with this, and hopefully we can get more of Paige Van Zant to continue her one-on-one feud with Ty Conti, because that's what I want to see. Chris Rain sends in a super chat saying, I was so thankful to watch Swerve to remove that segment from my mind. Chris V says, the Lambert stuff isn't working. It's just not very good for TV. That's a very hard character to write good TV for. I see, that's the thing, though. I get what you're saying. I think Dan Lambert, I don't know. It's just like, there's some stuff, like, I like the heel Dan Lambert. I like that he's supposed to be everything that is essentially hated, right? I like what he's supposed to symbolize, just because I know it's supposed to, generate heat and all of that. But here's the situation, though. When he was doing this whole thing with Brandy Rhodes was getting a lot of heat on her own. So we got into this situation where it was like, okay, we have Brandy Rhodes and Dan Lambert, but we don't know who to cheer for, right? Like, the crowd was sort of torn. Like, Brandy Rhodes was technically supposed to be the baby face. She wasn't coming across as a baby face during that. Then you have, the Dan Lambert now doing this with Ty and Sammy. And Ty and Sammy aren't also coming across as, perfect baby faces. I think if you do the Dan Lambert situation, if you're going to keep doing this, you got to put them in there with somebody that is legitimately screaming baby face, supernatural, super likable baby face. So I think it's more so of like the pairing. I think depending on he's doing a program with, it could work, but it's just not working when you don't really know who to cheer for. When your baby faces are coming across as heels, then there's probably, something going wrong there. But thank you to Chris V for this super chat as well. And sorry about that. Google loves to send me a ton of password I don't even know what they're sending me. All right. And let's go ahead and move on from here, guys. I see a lot of different... Thank you. Julio says, Denise nailed it. Thanks. I didn't know how else to explain that into. Sticker Red says the Lambert curse. He turns all baby faces into heels. Oh, man. All right. Curtis says, Ty and Sammy both have heel heat because they are happy, young, and attractive. We hate that. You know what's sad? What's sad about that is that could be true for a lot of people. Like, legitimately, there are people that are bothered by happy people out there. Trust me, I've seen it firsthand, okay? But I don't think that's the entire thing. Like, when they posted the picture of them naked in bed with the belts, I had people in my DMs, like important people, like with that or something, that they messaged me and were like, don't they know they're supposed to be baby faces? Like, why would they put this picture out? They're supposed to be baby faces. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Oh, I don't know. I don't got answers for you. So there you go. I think they just have to probably figure out, what could work to make them come across as more baby face than heels, All righty, guys. Let's move on from this here. Sports Entertainer of the Week named by Chris Jericho is QT Marshall. Marshall, QT Marshall, QT Marshall. I feel like they change it every week. But anyways, yeah, so that was funny. I love the whole sports entertainer of the week. It's a little way, a tiny little way to further the everything that Jericho's doing with the Jericho Appreciation Society while not taking too much attention away from the actual show. So it's a little way to keep the character going and just, fun stuff. I like that. So good stuff there. Now we got the actual match between Swerve and QT Marshall. I like this. This is a random match for Swerve, but I like it because it was two consistent talents that we're constantly seeing on Rampage in both Swerve and QT Marshall. And we all knew that this was really just, okay, let's get Swerve a win in this match. And we ended up getting some post-match action, which I'll talk about in just a second. But this was a quick victory for Swerve. Cool. We're all good with that. And post-match, we officially got a match made in which Ricky Starks created basically win and challenge for a tag team match. So we're going to be getting on Dynamite Hobbs and Starks versus Swerve and Keith Lee. So they've been telling the story for a while. We recently had that beat down in the locker room. I love it. This story has been like a simple story that has made sense. Guys that were already on the roster, annoyed by guys that are coming into the roster. They got beef with one another. They've been attacking one another. Hey, let's make a match. It happened. So I'm excited for this. I think that this is a good way to give all of these guys something to do on both shows and also make a feud that actually makes sense. I'm a fan of this. And again, the Swerve QT Marshall, just a way for Swerve to get a nice little TV win on Rampage. So good stuff there too as well. DNM says very predictable but cool win. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing wrong with with predictable or not predictable. Ozzy the Beast says Swerve has a lot of charisma. I do want to kind of talk really quickly about Swerve. So he was recently at the Grammys, and they did mention that on Dynamite. And I don't know if I mentioned this on my post show for Dynamite. I don't remember mentioning this, but I just really think that it's cool that they legitimately incorporated that into the show because it's not every day that you got wrestlers going to the Grammys, and the Grammys are a big freaking deal, y'all. It's a big freaking deal. And so I think that the fact that they're presenting him as like, hey, this is a guy that legitimately goes to the Grammys, etc., it's making him seem a lot cooler. And that's definitely something that you want for the guy. So I think that's awesome. Good stuff there. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our next match. Before I do, just a friendly reminder to everybody, if you haven't subscribed here to F4W Online, please make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 100,000 subscribers, and I can't wait for that to happen because I'll be very, very happy. But anyways, let's get into some women's wrestling. So, Owen Hart Cup qualifier, we got Willow versus Red Velvet. And here's the thing that I want to point out is that the crowd is very much behind Willow. Very, very much behind her. And they were not having it when she didn't win. And I was obviously expecting Red Velvet to win because she's more of she's a mainstay here in AEW. We've seen her, nonstop. But here's the thing though, like Red Velvet, and if someone please fill me in on this because I don't get to watch Dark and Dark Elevation. But when exactly was there ever a Red Velvet heel turn? Or am I just forgetting something very pivotal? If I'm forgetting something, please inform me because I'm blanking right now on that. Because I felt like the crowd, like based on a lot of what we've seen from Red Velvet, I kind of thought that the crowd would be a little bit more 50-50, but the crowd very much felt like they were just going for Willow. And I thought, man, what did I miss here? Because, Red Velvet has been like this fiery persona on AEW. I think she's been she's been great on AEW. She really has. She's that person I feel keeps getting a bunch of small parts, but she nails all of those small parts. But anyways, I love this match. I loved it mainly because I feel like Willow, she really showed her strength, but she also showed her speed. And I think she kind of brings a little bit of both worlds into her wrestling. And so she's kind of very enjoyable to watch, you know? I love the shoulder tackle from Willow, really like that. I love the spinning heel kick from Red Velvet, the spine buster from Willow. Willow really just like firing up this match. I love that. Corkscrew kick from Red Velvet for the win. And there was like quite a bit of boos when she won. People wanted to see Willow take this win and qualify because Willow has kind of won the hearts of people. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, here we go. Question the mark says Willow's such a natural baby face. Yeah, you see it right away. She's pretty likable, like just genuinely likable. We got Curtis Adams saying sign Willow now. We got Chris Reigns saying Willow is so freaking over. She was. I couldn't believe it. Like, I guess I didn't really know that much about her, prior to this. I got, obviously got to see her at ROH and all of that. But prior to this, I didn't really get to know much about her. So for me, it was kind of like, oh, cool. This is who she is. Great. So that was awesome. And let me see if I got anything about this here. And let's see what we got. No, people are saying that she didn't have an official heel turn. Okay, so she didn't have an official heel turn from what I recall. A lot of people are saying that she hasn't had an official heel turn. Okay, cool. Making sure. Ryan Cordes says Willow's just our hometown girl in Boston. Good to know. Sheldon Daction sends in a super chat saying thoughts on Minoru Suzuki versus Samoa Joe this coming Wednesday on Dynamite for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. So I forget at which point they announced this during the show. I think it was during the main event. No, it was during the women's match. Yeah, during the women's match. They announced this, and they were like, Tony Khan has just made Minoru Suzuki and Samoa Joe. Blah, blah, blah. And they put the little graphic in the corner, and I'm like, what? Did I hear that right? I even rewinded. I legitimately rewinded because I was like, wait, what? I'm like, you literally just broke the news to us right now in this little tiny graphic on the screen. So immediately, like, I'm literally seeing it on the screen, but immediately I go to Tony Khan's Twitter and I'm like, I don't know why. I had to like do a double check. And I saw it and I was like, it's legit. We're getting Minoru Suzuki versus Samoa Joe. Ooh. That's good stuff, man. That's really good stuff. I feel like I'm really excited for that match. And one of the things I was also talking about on Dynamite last week was I like how they're sort of weaving in the Ring of Honor storylines into AEW. Again, not in a way so much that it takes away from the show, but obviously Samoa Joe is going to be working both AEW and Ring of Honor. So I almost like feel like if it has to do with, Samoa Joe who's working both brands, it doesn't feel like it's taken away from the show. It actually kind of feels like it's adding to the show. So I think this is going to be really cool. It's going to be a kick-ass match. I really hope that they give it whatever time they can afford to give this match on Dynamite. Do it. Like, give it the full whatever time you can. I'm very excited for this match. I'm very, very excited, and I don't know how else to state that. We got a super chat from David K. Plan who says, your WrestleMania vlog touched me and inspired me. I cannot tell you how many amazing tweets and messages and like comments, DMs I've gotten from so many people for that vlog. And I'm so happy because I feel like, and I'll just be completely like honest with you guys. I really feel, well, first of all, I'm an open book. If you guys watch my podcast, any podcast that I'm on, I'm very, very honest about everything. Okay. I don't sugarcoat anything, none of that. But I really, really wanted people to know who I am, because I feel so many times people just like, obviously people are going to hate you, right? Like regardless, like people are going to hate you because this is going to happen. But so many times I feel like people might just know me as like, oh, this is the girl who tweets about wrestling, but they don't know anything else about me. And so it's easier to hate me, I think. And then you come on, these podcasts and yeah, I'm talking about wrestling, but I'm talking about wrestling. I'm not talking about me. And so I wanted people to know, who is this girl behind the tweets? Who is this girl behind the YouTube channel? Who the hell is this girl on F4W Online, etc., on Fightful, blah, blah, blah. And so I was really happy to put that vlog out there, and I was very happy with the responses that I got. So thank you so much to David for sending in a super chat and also bringing that up. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and get some more comments here. This is from El Profe Jr., who says Red Velvet has the tools. She just needs to put it together. I really like Red Velvet, guys. I really have been digging her. Honestly. And let's go ahead and see some more here. this is from Chris Reigns, who says they needed a heel to go against Willow because not many was getting cheered. Was getting cheered against her. Yeah, no, Red Velvet was not getting cheered against her. She was definitely not getting cheered here. But this was but here's the thing too, like I do think that like Tony Khan looks at that. Like he looks at, you know, what reactions, you know, the performers are getting. And so this positive reaction for Willow, not just like in person, like the crowd, but also on social media, I'm pretty sure that's not something that he's not seen, you know? So yeah. All right. So good job to her. And thank you, sir, everybody, for sending that in here. We actually got another super chat. This is from Reggie Simmons. It says, just showing support. Thank you, Reggie, for all the continuous love. And we got people saying they think Samoa Joe's taking the win. I think so too, man. I think so too. And let's go ahead and see what else we got here. This is from the Book of Chris, who says, will he though? Minoru just won it, but I think Samoa Joe has the momentum, and him losing to Minoru makes me think that he won't get far in the Owen Cup. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that Samoa Joe might win it. That's kind of where I'm at right now, but that's just with like 10 seconds of thinking. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and, this is from Leonard Aarons III to remind us that we did have Lethal, who was hinting at a big surprise for Samoa Joe on Dynamite. He says, this is it. I don't know if this is it because it's not like he announced it. Is it it? I don't think so. No, I think it might be something different. I don't know, actually. All right, let's go ahead and move on from here. This is from Roberto Arsenal, sends in a super chat saying, Liv Morgan is all happy, but I love her. Not the same with Sammy and Ty. Wheeler, wow, what a way to build a young star. Rampage better than Raw after Mania. We'll talk about that in just a second, but thank you so much to Roberto for also sending that in. All right, guys, here we go. Let's move on from this. So after this, we have Mark Sterling offering proper legal representation to Tony Nese. And now let's get into this main event, guys. Jon Moxley versus Wheeler Yuta. So I had a bunch of people basically saying, or seen a bunch of people saying that this match was going to be really good. And part of me thought, is it going to be really good, or is this just going to be like the hardcore fan base that are saying that it's good, you know? I wasn't really sure. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go in with any like expectations. Although it was kind of there inside in the back of my mind. In the back of my mind, I kept, you know, remembering what people were saying, this and that. And because there have been times where, you know, some people will overhype a match and then I watch it and I don't really feel that great about it, right? It happens to all of us. Well, whoever and everyone who said that this match was really good, they were on point with their opinion here. This was a really good match, okay? I think that this was now... Wheeler Yuta has been a favorite, okay? Don't get me wrong. He has been a favorite on AEW. But this was the match that I think legitimately put him on the map on AEW. This was the first time that I went from just seeing Wheeler Yuta as the guy with potential, the guy who's going to, you know, the guy who's basically getting pushed to the moon, to the guy that may actually deserve to be in that spot. Like, there's always good and talented wrestlers, and then you just kind of go from there, right? So for me, this really was a breakout performance for Wheeler Yuta. And don't get me wrong, he's done a lot of good work in the past, but this one for me, I saw him differently after tonight. And the reason why was obviously the way that they worked this match was, you know, so many times we see Moxley, and if he's in there with a guy that's either a guy who's not at his level, it tends to be sort of like the same match, right? Like Moxley goes out there and beats the living crap out of the guy, and that's it, right? Unless it's a guy who's, you know, on the same level as Moxley or on a higher level as Moxley, then you get a different type of match, right? But this match here, we saw Moxley in a situation that we don't normally see him in. Moxley is usually this dominant force to be reckoned with. He's usually this and that, but this time, he was put to the test here with Wheeler Yuta. And that's what I liked. And I like the story that they told here, that Wheeler Yuta was willing to undergo any and all pain to earn the respect of William Regal, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson. This match was all about earning respect. And not only did he earn the respect from those, but I think he also earned the respect from a lot of fans tonight, because this was really good. It was a very bloody match. I wasn't expecting a very, very bloody match. And Wheeler Yuta can bleed, okay? The man, you couldn't even see his face anymore. He was just red. He was a red crayon. That's what he was. This was good. Let's talk about some of the best moments of this match. Immediately, so we actually saw him get busted open after Moxley essentially stomps his face into the steel steps. And then after that, the guy is busted open, okay? And he just continues to bleed even more. So we end up going to a commercial break. We come back from the commercial break. And Yuta, again, like I said, is bleeding a lot more, but he ends up doing a crossbody from the top rope onto Jon Moxley, who's on the table on the outside. Really, really nice visual. After this match kind of starts to take on a new level of aggression. And by that, I mean, we see Yuta kind of kick into high gear. Like you can see him go from phase 1 of energy to phase 2 of energy. He hits 2 German suplexes on Jon Moxley. He tries to go for a 3rd German suplex, but Moxley ends up countering with a couple of elbows. And now Moxley is, showing the even more aggressive side of himself. After this, Wheeler Yuta takes a page out of Bryan Danielson's book. Oh, I loved it. I love this touch. Chef's kiss on this one because it takes balls, okay, to go out and do the exact same thing that Bryan Danielson not only has done to his opponents, but has done to you as well. Take a page out of his book and incorporate it into this match. It added a little bit more of a personal touch, So he's, stomping the face of Moxley. I love that. Went for the flying splash, executes that, goes for a pin. It's a near fall. After this, we see Yuta lock him into a crossface. And like I said, you don't normally see Moxley in these situations. From there, we get a lariat from Moxley. He goes for a pin. It's a near fall. Then they both exchange chops between one another. Really good stuff there. Then Moxley, who is incredibly savage, and we know this, Yuta's bleeding just crazy, right? So he ends up biting the wound of Wheeler Yuta, literally biting him in the head. Okay, the man's already bleeding, and he is just adding to that. That was a very, very savage thing. Okay, I loved it. And then commentary also mentioned a line from his promo when he came back from rehab to AEW, where he talked about like drinking the opponent of his blood, the blood of his opponent, something like that, right? I love that they mentioned that they brought that up during this like moment in the match. It just kind of tied things all nicely together in a nice little ribbon. Really enjoyed that. After this, we see Moxley in a bulldog choke. He's choking the hell out of Yuta. Yuta has all the blood coming out of him. But then Moxley gives it up. He drops it. Then this is my favorite part of the entire match. One thing that Moxley did, and it was my favorite thing of the whole entire match. I literally was just like, that's it. I'm done. This was my favorite thing. My favorite thing that he did was after he dropped the bulldog choke. The man is broken, okay? Yuta. He's freaking broken, okay? He's just practically lifeless at this point. And Moxley just gets him in the face with multiple knee strikes straight to the face. I loved it. Oh my God, I loved this so much. It was my favorite part of the entire match. Like William Regal says, it's the little things. It was that one tiny moment where I was like, that's it. This whole match just got like 10 times better for me. Anyways, after this, we see Yuta do his own bulldog choke. We see Moxley hammer in multiple elbows into the chest. He's just breaking Yuta at this point. And then finally he hits the paradigm shift. Yuta kicks out. He kicks out. Then finally he ends up passing out after a rear naked choke is placed on him, and Yuta passes out. Well, he goes to sleep rather. Moxley wins this match. After this, Yuta gets the respect and appreciation from Regal, and they shake hands, and it's all, happy rainbows and stars with lots of blood. I really love this. I thought this was a really good match. It made sense to the story that they're telling, and I now see Wheeler Yuta on another level. So What did you guys think? Let's see what people are saying here. This is a super chat from Sebastian McCulloch who says Wheeler Yuta was an 8 out of 10 on the Muda scale. Bro, he looked like a bowl of marinara sauce. I was about to get some garlic bread and dip it on his face. Chris Rain sends in a super chat saying this was a star-making match for Yuta. Exactly. He also adds, this made me believe that he could actually had a chance to beat Mox. Like, I knew that wasn't going to happen, right? Like, we all knew that wasn't going to happen. But let's say that down the line, like, let's say down the line in a couple months or whatever, he goes up against Moxley or he goes up another big competitor, you're always going to have this match in the back of your mind as a, you know what? What if he could beat this guy? What if he could beat this big star on AEW? You know, this match is essentially going to be the thing that you kind of look back on. We got a super chat from Rumple Foreskin who says, Yuta is being pushed to the moon, but works like he deserves it. You got it, man. Like, there's so many people that, like, you know, they're going to get pushed and they could get lazy and not do the work. You do the work. You get pushed, you do the work. It's a two-sided thing, guys. If the company is pushing you, if the company sees something in you, you got to go out there and do the best you can. So yeah, that's definitely what we saw here tonight. Sebastian McCulloch sends in a super chat saying AEW is extremely good at making it a star in a loss. Ooh, yeah. He is definitely not a loser today. Like, he was a loser, right? Technically speaking, but nobody's seeing it that way. Nobody. Thank you to Sebastian McCulloch for sending that in. We got a super chat from Leonard Aarons III who says Mox had an absolute war with Yuta 8 days before his match next Saturday with Ospreay. Ospreay stated on Twitter he has a video message set to air during Hyper Attack, likely aimed at Mox. Yuta is made after tonight. 100% agree. Thank you so much to Leonard Aaron III. And, okay, let's go ahead and let me make sure I get a couple more of these comments. This is from Pomi Wrestling, who says, not a perfect comparison, but Wheeler Yuta got so much more losing here to John Moxley than Braun Breaker from beating Walter on NXT. Major Blood says, I really enjoyed Yuta taking pages out of Danielson and Mox's book. It takes balls as well as possibly him learning from his past matches. Yes, 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 yes. Think about this, guys. Like, you know, like, think about it. If you were in a fight, you got your ass kicked. Let's say you're in a fight the next time. You're telling me in real life you're not going to execute something that you might have learned in that previous fight? In real life, you're going to do whatever it is you can to win the fight, to win the match. Well, fight in real life. You ain't having a match in real life, right? There ain't going to be no referee popping up on Hollywood Boulevard. No, that ain't happening. But you get me? Like, you're going to take from your actual life and incorporate it into that. So I did really like that as well. I think that's the reason why it essentially made me like, you know, Ed Pumps, deathmatch, Denise returns. She never left. She never left. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and continue on from here. Alrighty, guys, here we go. After this, all right, let's go ahead and jump into a SmackDown. All right, so before we go into SmackDown here, just a friendly reminder to each and every single person watching here, I am live on F4W Online 3 times a week. On Tuesdays, I am here to talk about NXT 2.0. On Wednesdays, I am here to talk about AEW Dynamite. And on Fridays, I'm here to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. Next Friday, I will not be here, guys. I am flying out to San Antonio. Yes, San Antonio for Mission Pro Wrestling. So I will not be here next Friday. So in case you come in, you're like, where the heck is Denise? She left us. I did not. I'm going to be on a plane. So yeah, but because it shows earlier, because there's going to be a special start time for Rampage, I'm probably going to be able to watch the show while I'm waiting for my plane to take off. So I'll probably be watching at like LAX or something. So I'll figure that out. You'll see. All right, here we go. Let's get into this, guys, because we had some very interesting things that occurred on SmackDown. And first and foremost, we got an interesting promo from Ronda Rousey. This is going to be... Man, Ronda Rousey, she's a big star. We know that. But her promo game has seriously taken a hit here on her since she came back to WWE. It's taken a hit. And today they kicked off the show with her cutting a promo. But this time they had Kayla Braxton there with her. And my theory as to why they had Kayla Braxton out there with her was to kind of maybe help navigate Ronda in case she were to forget something. Or I don't know what is causing her to, you know, not necessarily give like A++ promos, right? Whatever's holding her back, it seemed like Kayla Braxton was put out there for a specific reason, okay? And I really do think that reason was to kind of like help guide Ronda Rousey. So there was a moment where, she's talking about, her match at WrestleMania. She's talking about, she made Charlotte tap out, but, the ref didn't see it. She didn't get the win when it counted, etc. She starts talking about her mom and the advice that her mom gave her and all of this. During this, though, there's a moment, I don't know, either she was selling it or she forgot her line. To be honest, I don't really know. But there was a moment where we got this really, really long pause where it was kind of like, is Ronda trying to remember what she's supposed to say here? And I kind of felt like something she kind of did forget, just because at the exact same time, Kayla Braxton was about to like chime in. She was like about to say something to like kind of like, I guess, help her out. And instead you kind of just got their voices kind of like talking over one another. So I feel like that was kind of, maybe Kayla was going to try and help her there, but maybe she got lost or something in her words. I don't know. But it was very obvious is what I'm trying to get at here. Whatever. So then she says that she wants a rematch. Charlotte Flair pops up on screen and she basically says, like, you're not going to get a rematch. The answer is no, because she wants an I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash against Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair says no, and she says, get to the back of the line, bitch. So that's what she tells Ronda Rousey. And after this, Ronda basically tells her, like, we're going to do this match. Later on in the show, she does confront Adam Pearce and she wants to know, like, hey, is this match happening? And he tells her, I'll know by tomorrow. We'll get an answer by tomorrow. And Ronda Rousey is not happy that the answer is coming tomorrow. So I am looking forward to the I Quit match between Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey, because I am a big fan of Charlotte Flair. I don't know how many people know this, but she's legitimately one of my favorite women's wrestlers, period. I'm a Charlotte Flair fan, but I do get the criticisms towards Charlotte, but I'm still a big Charlotte Flair fan. Unfortunately, with all of that being said, their WrestleMania match, I was not a fan of their WrestleMania match. I think it could have been a lot better. I really wish that they would have separated both women's matches, because Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch were just on another level. I mean, they were match of the, WrestleMania weekend for me. And they were at such another level with the work that they did that it really made Charlotte Ronda not look nearly anywhere near that level. So I did think it kind of hurt Charlotte and Ronda, not only to, follow that match between Becky and Bianca, but also I forgot what they were following on the actual card, but they were also coming off of like, I forgot if it was a Cody thing or it was something that happened prior to the show, and they came out right after that, and I kind of felt like it was a bad spot for them. But either way, we'll see how that goes. We'll find out. All right, here we go. This is from Major Blood, who says it doesn't feel like Charlotte and Ronda have the greatest chemistry. Yeah, they've got to work on that. They definitely got to work on that. We got people saying, Roberto says Ronda's clearly there for a paycheck and nothing more. And I don't blame her if she's just there for a paycheck, guys. Like, who can blame her? Money's money, right? Here we go. What else we got? This is from Julio, who says, I feel bad for Ronda. Seems like she's being left to flounder a bit when she should have been booked a bit tighter. Exactly. Like, if someone has any sort of flaws at any point, then, you just got to, work around those things. You got to work around those things. And I think that's the reason why Kayla Braxton was out there. At least that's just my theory. Anyways, after this, we got Xavier Woods versus Butch. Let's see. Woods basically comes out and says, since it's after WrestleMania, all the records are reset now. And I'm like, what records? We keeping track here? What? People be keeping track? Anyways, that's a joke. But this was fun. This was literally, actually, this was... So the story here is we got Butch, who is, just out of control. He's an angry man. He's an angry fella, okay? And he's going out there and he's uncontrollable and he's beating the crap out of Xavier Woods. And, he's landing all of these, punches on Xavier Woods. He's, Butch at one point gets busted open. He's very, very uncontrollable. But we end up, there's a moment too where he starts stomping on Woods. He literally hits Woods with a kick in the back of the head. He's very, very like going out there and he's nuts, right? But then Woods wins with a small package. So it's one of those things where I feel like you have this opportunity to make Butch come across as a serious guy who is a killer in the ring, right? Not just like a lunatic, because he's kind of coming across as a lunatic, right? But instead as a guy who's literally going to come out here and kill you, right? I think with the way that he lost, instead of making him look like that, it made him look very, very silly to lose in that manner. So I didn't like the finish of this. I did love how like crazy and I'm just going to kill this guy. I liked how that went down, but I wish the finish would have been something where it actually made both guys look good. Like even if you wanted to have Xavier Woods win, I would have liked it if he did it in a way where it didn't bury the Butch character. I mean, like Butch needs all the help he can get right now with that name. So, anyways, after this, he's pissed off and he throws a mantrum. And commentary, like here's why Butch is not going to get over, oh guys. And I'm going to explain to you why. It's the little stuff, okay? Commentary afterwards, because so Butch gets mad, right? That he loses this match in the fashion that he did. He starts going off on Sheamus and Rich Holland. He starts fighting his own friends. And then he goes and he sits down on the turnbuckle and he's like, pouty look and he's mad and, and commentary basically says that he's acting like a child, that he's throwing a tantrum like a child. And I'm thinking, why would you say that? You're like literally burying the character. You're making it look so much worse. Like the finish was bad, but why would I root for a man who throws a child's tantrum? I cannot root for a man who's throwing a tantrum like a child. I can't get behind that. Can you? I can't. If I'm going to get behind someone, it's because they're freaking cool and they're badass and this and that. I can't get behind a guy who's just throwing a tantrum. That's not for me. So I didn't like that. I think that it went from like, okay, he could have this real potential to be, Butch, this guy who's going to butcher you, to, oh, now he's just, a lunatic and he really messed up and he lost in this way. And now he's just throwing a tantrum. So I think they had something going with Butch and then with like mere seconds, drop the ball there. So yeah. Sal P says Butch needs to be put on timeout by Sheamus. You see what I mean? Like we should not be saying stuff like that. It's child's play. But unfortunately, Rumple Foreskin says it's called manstrating. So anyways, and then someone points out that Pat McAfee called him Pete. I think somebody else mentioned that to me on Twitter, but I didn't catch it, actually. I didn't catch it. So here we go. And Josh says, why would you root for a heel? There's plenty of heels that you root for. You've never rooted for a heel in your life. There's heels that you root for because they're cool. Like a cool bad guy. I've rooted for plenty heels in my entire life. But this one is just not going to work for me. Let's see what else we got here. And this is from Twitch Face 4 says the child thing is building him up for a match with Nicholas. Freaking, oh man, that was interesting. I was there for that, actually. I was there for that. And let's go ahead and see what else we got here. Let's see what people are saying about this. Okay, if I missed your comment, you can resend it in because I have a hard time sometimes finding everybody's interesting comments. But this is from YT who says, I blinked and I missed the match. I didn't like that they aren't calling him King Woods. And I didn't like how fast this match was. The roll-up was one of Woods' finishers. And here's the thing too, like the match itself was okay. Like it was okay. It was okay. DF and Ray says, I want to see Butch versus Brock. Oh man. Alrighty, after this, we got the debut of Ludwig Kaiser. And if you're sitting here thinking, Denise, who the hell is Ludwig Kaiser? Well, Ludwig, it's a hard name to say. I've never said the name Ludwig in my life. Ludwig Kaiser is Marcel Barthel of Imperium. And he introduces Gunther, formerly known as Walter, and they are now officially on the SmackDown brand. Unfortunately, Fabian Eichner did not come down with them, and it makes me sad. It makes me sad because I really do wish that they would have brought up all three guys for multiple reasons. One, when you don't get called up and your buddies do, that freaking sucks, man. Like, that sucks. All right, let's just be real. We're all humans. That shit sucks. 2, it doesn't necessarily, given the releases, given, just things happening, and, you could easily be kept off of television. It makes you wonder, what is Fabian Eichner's future going to be? Is it going to be a good future? Is it not going to be a good future? Given that he wasn't called up along with his friends, it's not looking good, okay? It's not looking good. And so I do feel bad for Fabian Eichner in this situation as well. And the other reason is I really do think that they should have brought them all up together so that not only do you add to the singles division with Gunther, and also you add to the tag team division, which we've talked about here so many times. They need a lot more on their tag team divisions, both on Raw and SmackDown, okay? We're just getting too many repeat matches over and over and over again. And I do think that having Imperium have had phenomenal matches down in NXT, they could have definitely done a lot on SmackDown. They really could have. So personally, I am bummed out for Fabian Eichner. We'll see what this, means for him and his future. As for the name Ludwig Kaiser, it's not like as bad as, Gunther Starks. At least from what I know of, it ain't a Nazi name, but I don't know. And secondly, it could be Butch. It could be Dewdrop. So the name isn't that bad. Is it hard for me to say? Yes. Am I going to mess it up a few times? Yes. But anyways, we got Gunther versus Joe Alonzo. And this is essentially a squash match. Gunther chops the living hell out of him. Big boot. He gets the win. Cool. There's also a moment during this match where I kind of thought I was going a little crazy because I heard the crowd chanting Walter, and they were chanting Walter, and I'm like, oh, they're chanting Walter. And I was going to type that out, and then commentary's like, oh, the fans are chanting Gunther. And I was like, what? Did I hear that wrong? I really thought they were saying Walter. Well, I asked people on Twitter, and everybody confirmed that the fans were indeed saying Walter, and commentary lied to us. They lied to us and told the viewers at home, you're crazy. You didn't hear Walter. You heard Gunther. They made the people at home feel crazy. I felt crazy. I thought I was hearing things. Anyways, I'm excited to see what they have Gunther do on the main roster. Looking forward to that. Let's see what people are saying about this. We got Sebastian McCulloch who sends in a super chat saying, I rooted for Edge and Christian as heels. Yeah, there you go. There's an example of that. And let's see what people are saying in regards to all of this here. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Okay, so Zeno Hour says, according to Fightful Select, they also named Ludwig Klaus, who was a Nazi. So I did see that the original last name was supposed to be Klaus or Klaus. I don't know. I saw Klaus and I thought Santa Claus. I did see somebody on Twitter mention the whole Nazi association, but I didn't know if that was legit or not, and I haven't looked myself. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's probably why they went from like Klaus or Klaus to Kaiser. So there you go. And let's see what else we got here. This is from James Jones, who says they will have to change Walter's name back as long as the fans keep chanting for Walter. Name change with the crowd. No lie. For a second, I thought, damn, what if they change Walter's name for a third time? Because it's like they changed him when he's in NXT, but now he's going up to the main roster. What if they change it again? Like, part of me thought I won't be surprised if Gunther comes out and he's not Gunther anymore. He's something else. But so Walter was asked about the name change at the Media Scrum Wrestling Inc. Nick Hausman, he asked him, and he basically said that, he didn't feel that it hurt him, which I do kind of think that it hurt him. But according to him, it did not hurt him. And he feels that the same outrage, he feels that the outrage from people would have been the exact same had it been from going from Gunther to Walter. But I feel like they're missing, I feel like he kind of walked around that. I think people were more outraged. I don't even know if outrage is the right name. Yeah, I guess you can say outrage. They were more outraged, I think, at the Nazi association versus Gunther, just the name, right? Like, people are going to be, regardless, like, let's say they didn't have the Starks last name, right? Like, that was never introduced. Let's say we never knew about that, right? and it was just Gunther, I think people would have had the same reaction like they did with Butch. But because of that Nazi association, that's what made it even worse. Where you're like, what? You're giving him a Nazi name? That's what I think made it worse. So he didn't really talk about that. And who is? Like, really, who's going to want to talk about that? Like, nobody's going to want to talk about that. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on from here. And let's see what else we got here. Twitchface4 says the name Gunther is a stark contrast to Walter. It is a very different name here. Oh man, I was gonna make a joke right now, but I'm not gonna make the joke. Oh man, I was gonna make a funny joke. All right, sorry guys. This is from DNM, says if he started as Gunther and changed to Walter, people would complain. Yeah, they would complain, but I think people were more mad, like I said, about the Nazi association. I think that's what they were mainly going to, be more upset about. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and continue on from this, guys. So after Ludwig and Gunther, we go on to another name change. So this was a little weird to me. Well, maybe not so much weird because Raquel Gonzalez, congratulations to her. She's now on the main roster. Applause, because she's good and she's great. She's got a great look and she's, a darling. Very, very much rooting for her to have a real and solid opportunity on the main roster. Good for her. So before I get to the rest of it, so Raquel Gonzalez is now on SmackDown, but her new name now is Raquel Rodriguez. So this is what I first thought was a little bit weird. I'm like, why would you just change the last name to from Gonzalez to Rodriguez? Like, is it going to make that big of a difference? I don't know. Well, I think her last name legitimately is Gonzalez. So maybe they didn't want her to have her actual, last name. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe they want the double R. I don't know. I was just trying to think as to why you would actually change the last name. So I'm assuming that's what it was. So anyways, so she's doing her little interview there. I forget if it was with Kayla or with Megan, but she's doing an interview. And it was with Kayla. Yeah, it was with Kayla. And she's doing her little interview, and she's approached by Los Lotharios. And I'm like, oh my God, they totally would. They totally would do this. Anyways, and I'm thinking, where is this going? Right? And then Los Lotharios come out and they try to flirt with Raquel. They want to give her a kiss on the cheek and this and that. And Raquel basically is like, no, get the hell out. And she shushes them away. No, she doesn't shush them away, but she gets them away from her, right? And that was funny. Okay, cool. What I do want to talk about here is I want to talk about, and thank you so much to Zeno Hour who confirms that Gonzalez is her last name. Yeah, so Gonzalez is legitimately her last name. I think her first name is Victoria, if I'm correct. Okay, but anyways, what I do want to talk about here is Dakota Kai. I want to talk about Dakota Kai because, damn, if you were here on my NXT post show, we were wondering, what the hell? Why did they give them the titles to Raquel and Dakota when they had already broken up, by the way? They had already broken up. They were already separately doing their own things. Then they brought them back together. They were friends again, and then they win the titles together from Toxic Attraction. Then on NXT, they lose the titles, and you're like, what? Why? Why are we playing hot potato here? Well, now we know why. Raquel Gonzalez was moving to the main roster. But I keep thinking to myself, damn, I don't know why. And of course, we don't know. Maybe next week. I don't know. Maybe they have something planned for Dakota Kai to also come to the main roster. I don't know. But as of right now, as of this moment, I'm like, why the hell haven't they called up Dakota Kai? I'm literally on every show saying Dakota Kai needs to go to the main roster. Dakota Kai needs to go to the main roster. I sound like a broken freaking record. And I feel so bad for her because, she's getting that title shot with Mandy Rose. And I'm wondering, I think that's going to be pretty telling. Whatever outcome we see from there is going to be pretty telling. But I feel bad. I feel bad for her. I don't know, what this means for her. She got screwed out of another tag team run where her and Raquel legitimately didn't get a proper tag team run with the belts. So, I do feel bad for Dakota Kai in this situation until she gets her actual moment. I'm going to, be like, where are we going with her? It's very clear that on NXT 2.0 prior, prior to this match that she has against Mandy Rose, there was really no direction for Dakota Kai. The last meaningful thing that they had her do is partner up with Wendy Chu for the tournament. But that's because everybody was finding partners, not necessarily because they had a story for her. So anyways, let's go ahead and see what we got here. And this is from Major Blood, who says Dakota Kai always seems to be stuck in limbo regardless of how much she's featured in NXT. She really can't catch a break. That's kind of how it feels like. It really does kind of feel that way. And let's see what else we got here. I think we got... this is from YT. It says 2 of Dakota's tag partners have gotten called up, and Dakota is stuck with a new partner in NXT. And all right, let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's get into so after this, we have Happy Talk. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Corbin and Madcap Moss are no longer friends. They're done. They're done. We already knew this was going to happen. They had been teasing it for a couple of weeks now, and today was the final straw. Madcap Moss is the babyface in this, and Corbin is the heel in this, and the fans are actually rooting and getting behind Madcap Moss. So he stood up for himself after Corbin was kind of treating him like crap, making him tell him jokes and not laughing at any of his jokes. And so finally, Madcap Moss had enough of it. They go at it, and at the end, he stomps his hat. So good for Madcap Moss. He's moving on to new things. Well, not really. He's going to finish off this feud with Baron Corbin and then move on to new things here. So yeah, he's definitely went 100% face, and he was over with the crowd here today. After this, we had Jinder and Shanky backstage, and I already talked about the Ronda portion of this, but prior to Ronda talking with Adam Pearce, Jinder was mad at Pearce for not giving him a WrestleMania match. So we are going to be having a match for the Intercontinental Championship next week, Jinder facing against Ricochet. Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. The way this match was made was pretty funny because Sami Zayn is super pissed off of the events that occurred at WrestleMania 38, and he's telling Pierce, like, I'm so mad, I'm going to wrestle the first person that I see come out that door. And who's the first person that comes out? It's Drew McIntyre. This ended up being a very, very silly match, and we're going to get a rematch next week. They already announced it. So Sami Zayn tries to leave. He walks out of this match. Drew runs after him, pulls him back into the ring. Sami Zayn runs out again, but this time he goes into the crowd, and Drew's like, I ain't gonna go over there. So he gets counted out, and Drew McIntyre wins, and we're getting a rematch next week. So, yay. After this, we got Lacey Evans, who is officially back on SmackDown, back in WWE. She was gone because, she had a baby, and, she gave birth to the baby, and now she's back. This was a really, really good promo. So I want to start off by saying that what they were doing with Lacey Evans prior to her departure was terrible. I mean, they were literally having her as the lover of Ric Flair. And the story is that she technically got knocked up and has Ric Flair's child, okay? That was the story that they were telling before she left. And she was feuding with Charlotte Flair. And they were having this whole, really catty, like Real Housewives telenovela type of storyline, okay? It wasn't for people, okay? And Lacey Evans, was gone for, however long she was gone, and she's back now. And I'm thinking, like, man, like, when Lacey Evans left, she was not a very likable character. Like, her character was not likable whatsoever because of what they were doing with her, right? So they completely did a 180. And I'm so glad that they did. And I'm so glad that they introduced her this way because, like I said, she wasn't really likable before she left. And this time, like, she came in and they basically had her tell her story about her upbringing, which I didn't know about either. I don't know if this was out there, but I didn't know about it. She basically talks about the mental abuse that her dad caused to her mom and how her mom basically, when she was in elementary school, she packed up their stuff in like black trash bags and they moved out and they left her abusive father. So, she's talking about how her mom survived domestic abuse and, she talks about, going into the Marines, which we knew already, obviously. And this was such a good way to, not only have her as a babyface, but more than that, to make her feel like, just make her, give her some respect, like a respectable persona, a respectable person, a respectable character. And like, I really like how they've transformed how they've transformed her by having her go out there and tell this true and real story and having that be a part of who she is and a part of her story. Because when you have somebody that has the backgrounds that Lacey Evans has, you should be building her up like Wonder Woman, okay? You don't get people like Lacey Evans every day. So personally, I was very, very happy with the direction that they went with Lacey Evans here. And I think that is so much better than what they were doing with her before. So I'm very, very happy that they went this direction. So I like this. And then Josh also points out that he didn't feel like it was scripted. I agree. Like, it felt very genuine. And obviously I'm pretty sure it was scripted. Like, I'm pretty positive it was, but she's, it's her real life story. So, you're going to be able to add emotion when it's your real life stories. And we got people putting over, that it's a good promo. Major Blood says, I didn't care for the Sassy Southern Belle. That name was annoying. Yeah, it was. I wasn't a big fan of the Sassy Southern Belle stuff either. But this is the direction I think to go with her. It's built her up, like I said, like a Wonder Woman, like, an alpha female that legitimately, did her work, got to this point in her career, is doing great things with her life, going out there and having meaning, having purpose, etc. People are going to want to root behind that, people are going to want to stand behind her. People are going to want to root for her. And that's a good way not only to get people to root for her, but also attract some of your female demo, okay? Because if I was a young girl watching this and seeing Lacey Evans tell her story and hear her story, I would have been a fan of Lacey Evans, So that's kind of how I feel about that. So let's go ahead and continue on from here. Let's see. After this, we got Liv Morgan versus Sasha Banks. Liv Morgan is not going to SmackDown. She was just there to wrestle Sasha Banks. I was confused. I was like, wait, is she moving to SmackDown? What's going on here? What's happening? Because, she's doing her whole thing with Rhea Ripley. They're supposed to be going after the titles, etc., etc. So this was a fun match. I feel like we really just had this match because who the hell else is Sasha Banks going to face? Like, there's nobody on this roster. So I like this match. I love the strikes between both women. Nice drop kick off the top rope from Liv Morgan. Knees to the face from Sasha Banks. Really, really effective. There was a really nice running knee from Liv Morgan to Sasha Banks. That was really good too. Sasha also literally punching her in the face. All of that was fun. But Liv Morgan did end up getting the win here. I was a little bit surprised, but I guess it sort of makes sense. And she was the one who went there to have this match with Sasha Banks. But it's pretty interesting though. Like, the booking of Sasha Banks, who just won the tag team titles with Naomi. This was kind of one of those situations where I'm like, I don't know if either of these women could have really afforded a loss here, but they really made Liv Morgan look really, really good during all of this. So yeah, it was definitely a surprise. Tony says that match was a shocker. Liv wins the match over Sasha. I agree. It was very, very interesting. Josh points out that she also thanked Vince afterwards on Twitter. Yeah, she stole Sasha Banks' gimmick there. So that was good, actually. Good stuff for her. Support Women's Wrestling says, I like Sasha Banks in her match tonight, even though she lost. Yeah, I mean, Sasha Banks is always good. So, but yeah, it was pretty shocking to see her lose tonight. Alrighty, guys. So lastly, for the closing segment, Roman Reigns basically wants the Usos to go to Raw, win the tag team titles, and unify the tag titles. So on a plus side, I'm thinking, good. Unify those damn tag titles. Unify the hell out of them. So that's pretty much what we got there. And then next week for Raw, we do know now who Cody Rhodes is going to be facing for his first match back to WWE, and it's going to be The Miz. I kind of like this, though, because they're doing like a Hollywood versus Hollywood type of thing. I'm here for that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm pretty sure Cody's going to kill The Miz, and it's going to be a great time. But there you guys go. That was AEW Rampage. That was WWE SmackDown for Friday, April 8th. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on here and listening to the show, for checking out the show. If you did enjoy it, give this video a like, share it with your friends. It really helps me out, really helps out grow the show. If you tweet about it, make sure to tag me. I'll make sure to retweet you and all of that good stuff. If I don't see it, keep tagging me. I'll eventually see it, guys. My notifications have been exploding, but I look at this stuff. On top of that, I will be back next week, like I said. And then if you haven't already, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I have 12 brand new videos that are up right now. I have the Ring of Honor Media Scrum videos that are up. Really listen to that Samoa Joe one. That one's really good. Then also I have the WWE Media Talent ones. The one that is doing really good is my conversation with Becky Lynch. I really enjoyed my conversation with Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and AJ Styles. Check those one out as well. And then also my vlog, that's up. The Cody Rhodes press conference, that is up. There's a lot going on there, so please check those out. Other than that, have a great weekend, everybody. Love you all, and I will see you guys next